Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of the Loft Session, Reframing or Adapting or Moving On,
Shifting.
Shifting. Mike, I want to start off with.
I'm not gonna look at you, Jay.
We are both, we've been told to look into the camera, so we're looking here into the camera.
It's just you and I.
Right here. So we have been both dealing with some injuries. That you have a knee and I've got a
Yep.
back. Mine was in my late 20s. I was in a job working in the back of a van without a seat, went over a big bump, compressed my spine, and had a herniated disc. They wanted to do surgery. I was like, no, I'm not getting back surgery in my 20s. And so have been working around that my whole life. Now I'm in my 50s. And about every 18 months, I re-injure it. It's great the whole time. It doesn't give me any problems. But then I'll do something. And I think half the time it's been stacking wood. I'll grab a piece of wood. I'll go to turn over here, stacking firewood.
That rotation,
and I turn. And so this last, it's been about a week. I had this, and it's it's been a drag. And then your knee, what's up with your knee?
So this one was an injury, I think, just from years and years of soccer, basketball, martial arts, weightlifting. There was no trauma done to it. I had surgery on this knee about 10, 12, 13 years ago. There were several tears in the knee, repaired them, and I didn't do it again. There was no trauma. I was just doing a normal, like a lunge, and then it tore. Something pulled away, detached. So now it's like a marble-sized piece of tissue right here. So as soon as it happened, I knew I'm like, this ain't a normal. This is something.
Yeah.
I felt something grind and almost pull or
Yeah.
snap.
Yeah.
So that was 2 weeks ago.
And then what's that? What impact has that had on your life?
So the worst thing I could ever do was not be able to move. I need to move. I need to be able to train, hike, run, walk, paddleboard. It's my therapy, it's my meditation, it's my balance. So to lose my mobility is the worst possible thing for me. So over the years, I've had dislocated shoulders, broken ankles. So what I've learned to do, as soon as that happened to my knee, first thing I went, oh shit, that wasn't normal. Second thing, almost immediate, was I need to now shift my brain into what I can work and kind of almost hyper focus my energy on. So what I've learned over time, specific to injuries, is if I go boo hoo hoo, my ankle's broken, I can't play basketball, I can't do anything, then all I feel is loss. I feel what I can't do. I feel limitation. So what I've learned over time is to avoid that mental trap, an emotional pitfall. As I go, then I'm going to hyper focus on, instead of the knee and what I can't do, I'm gonna hyper focus on building a lot of stability around that joint. I'm going to figure out what range of motion I can move, and then I'm going to hyper focus on training that range of motion in other parts of my body. I'm going to drop my body weight 20 pounds to ease off any weight and pressure off my joints. So I'm able to shift, I would say within a minute, that's where my mind went, almost automatically.
Yep.
I went to, oh shit, then I went to, almost immediately shifting over to, how can I make this better? How can I change? Because I know that my energy needs to go somewhere, and it can't go towards the negative. So that's just something I've learned over time, and it comes from, again, dislocated shoulder twice, broken ankles, sprained ankles, and then being able to shift my energy and my mind to somewhere different, towards a positive.
That's good. And for me, it's funny as you say that. Lots of times when you say things when we're doing this, I go, that's a good thing for me to work on. Because my first feeling was like, not again. When you think back to your early time, and I love the story, you've told me some of these things, when you were like, 10, 12 years old, what did you think you were going to do when you were grown up?
See, this is where I think is just different, and I think the topics of what is success are huge, because
Yes.
I never looked at, money was never on my radar as a child. I didn't go, man, I want money when I grew up.
Yeah.
Man, I want a house.
Yes.
I thought, this is who I want to be.
Yes.
I don't even realize that till these last couple of years.
Yeah.
My focus was, I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be a soldier.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something with purpose and passion and impact, and it had nothing to do with the money. It wasn't on my radar.
Right.
Even as a young adult, I remember in junior high, we had to give this talk on what we wanted to be when we grew up. And everyone was talking about a doctor, a lawyer, and I had nothing like that on my radar.
Yeah. I have a friend named Christy in Florida that we were talking about plan A and plan B. You're on plan A, something happens, and then you shift to plan B. and that plan B always in some cases seems worse. That, it's not what I would have picked, so now I'm going to do this other thing instead. And
A team, B team concept, right?
Yes. And so then she asked me one time, what if there is no plan B? What if you're still in plan A, but plan A is just different than you had imagined it? And it has radically changed my thought. Talk about reframing.
Yeah.
That I've now gone back all the way into my history and said, when I was 20 years old, when I was 30 years old, and I was looking forward, I go, those were desires that you had. Those are things you need to pay attention to. But that future wasn't your future. That was never going to happen. And you're still in that same life that you had.
Trying to force that thing.
Trying to force it. Yeah. And so all of a sudden, that has changed my overall motivation to, I'm recovering and I'm adapting and I'm overcoming, to no, I'm accepting. That I'm accepting what's going on.
Plan B. That's a good.
There is no plan B. And that has become one of my mantras, that I will oftentimes, when I get in hard situations, I'll say, a bad thing didn't happen, an unexpected thing happened. And you're not now overcoming something, you're accepting the situation. But again, I think, as you and I always say, this is not done by sitting down. This is a lot of times through hard work and grit, right? That my plan B is not like, I'm just floating along, not doing things. I'm still working extremely hard, professionally, in relationships, in friendships, with my kids. And then another question I think for you is, when you think back to your early time, and I love the story, you've told me some of these things, when you were like, 10, 12 years old, what did you think you were going to do when you were grown up?
See, this is where I think is just different. And I think the topics of what is success are huge, because I never looked at, money was never on my radar as a child. I didn't go, man, I want money when I grew up. Yeah. Man, I want a house. Yes. I thought, this is who I want to be. Yes. I don't even realize that till these last couple of years.
Yeah.
My focus was, I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be a soldier.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something with purpose and passion and impact. And it had nothing to do with the money. It wasn't on my radar. Right. Even as a young adult, I remember in junior high, we had to give this talk on what we wanted to be when we grew up. And everyone was talking about a doctor, a lawyer, and I had nothing like that on my radar.
Yeah.
Back then, I wanted what the uniform represented. I wanted to be a firefighter, someone who helped people, who saved people.
Service,
a soldier, honor, respect, discipline.
Yes.
Those are the things I wanted. I wanted what the uniform represented, not the uniform.
Yes.
I didn't. It's weird looking back now at it as an adult. Like, I was a military. I was a cop.
Yes.
My whole family, looking at our gravesite in Burlingame, were all service people.
Yeah.
Lumber fire. The first Texas Rangers, some of them were Hankins boys.
Is that right?
So it was like, my great grandma told me that, and then we went to go seal the graves and stuff.
Yeah.
But let me ask you another question about that before you answer.
Yes.
When was the earliest point you found yourself making a shift? And sub question, when were you aware of that ability for you to actually make that shift?
That's a great
Not
question.
react,
No,
but
that's...
go, I need to do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're just ducking and bobbing. But
absolutely.
when did you actively go, man, I can shift and change?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. So I'm going to do the first one first and see what comes to mind on the second one.
I get really handsy in here, don't I? Shit,
yeah, it's good. No, it's good. It's good. That so I and I don't know where this came from, but from the age of 3 years old.
God damn, 3?
From the age of 3 years old to the age of my freshman year of high school, I was going to be a chef. And if you at any time stopped me on a street, and more than that, if you asked any of my family, if you stopped my brother, if you stopped my dad and said, hey, what's Jay going to be when he grow up? Instantly they said a chef. I told everybody I was going to be a chef. And
that was before Food Network.
No. And, well, this was, that's 1968.
Wow, yeah.
And so, so I had this idea, and I can't tell you where it came from. No one that I knew was a chef, but I had this idea I was going to be a chef, and I told everybody, to the point that my grandmother, for my 3rd birthday, made me an apron.
Chef's apron.
And my mom got me a Susie homemaker oven. To my dad was like, no, he is not going to have a Susie homemaker oven. And
give him an axe and some wood to chop.
That's right. And I used to have my Susie homemaker oven. I would make up recipes and cook muffins over the light bulb in my Susie oven for years and years and years. And I would have friends come over to the house. What do you want to do? Let's cook. And my brother was really supportive. I have an older brother that was a very mentoring kind brother. And he started telling me about you need to go to France and you need to go to the Cordon Bleu and we should start looking into this. And so when the shift happened was a funny story. I took some type of personality test that they gave you in like job, your future
Some
life.
kind of an assessment thing.
Yeah, assessment. And I came back and it said I should be a fish and game guy, out in the field.
Yeah.
I should be a jet pilot or I should be a minister, like a pastor.
Wow.
And I don't know how those three things
Well,
are
where the
related.
hell is chef?
Yes,
This is
no.
bullshit.
Yeah. And I was shocked because I was like, well, I don't really want to do any of those things.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I went and talked to my guidance counselor and I said, hey, I took this test. I don't want to be any of these things, but what I want to be is a chef. And then he said the strangest thing, and talk about, how your life changes. He said, well, do you want to live in a big city? And I said, no, I don't. And he said, because all chefs have to live in a big city. You have to live in New York or San Francisco or LA. And that very day, from 3 to whatever that is, 15 or something, every day I want to be a chef. I was like, I don't want to be a chef anymore. And I had people like in the next year meet me and say, hey, you're still going to be a chef? No, I'm not going to be a chef. Why not? I'm doing something else. So this is my next funny story is I walked in, I was on the school newspaper because I wanted to take pictures of pretty cheerleaders. And so I had a camera and all the cheerleaders wanted to have modeling portfolios. And I was like, sure, I'll go out and take pictures of you in swimsuits, break my arm.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm on the school newspaper. I'm going to all the sporting events. Well, so I wanted to have an internship at the Record Searchlight. So I walked into the Record Searchlight one day.
Is that local paper? What is
up
that?
in Reading,
Okay.
the Reading Record Searchlight. And I walked in with my camera in hand and like a little typed up resume. And when I walked in, I looked at across this newsroom, and it's a great, big, huge newsroom. Everybody's all heads down working on typewriters. There weren't computers at the time.
You're right.
And I remember I stopped and said,
This is bullshit.
this is what I'm going to do.
Oh, you wanted to?
I said,
I thought you meant hell no.
I was like, this is my life. And so I don't know what I did between no chef, but the next thing was journalism. And I was on fire for that. And so then I went out and got camera equipment. I asked to join writing classes. And I soon picked my San Jose State for my college, even though it was years away, because they had a daily paper and they won awards and they placed people at big magazines. And I said, I am going to be a journalist. And so then I ran hard at that, went to, in the Bay Area, went to every sporting event and every famous concert that happened from 1984 to 1987.
Wow.
Backstage at U2. I mean, anything you can think of. I was there taking pictures,
That's so
published, all this stuff. Then my senior year, again, so this is my life story. I don't know what we're going to do with this stupid podcast.
Shifting. We're
But
shifting.
Here's what I do. I get involved with this group that's very community-based, very relationship-based. And for the past many years doing all this journalism, I figured out that journalists are loners. They're a lot of alcoholics. And the work environment is dog eat dog.
Sounds like a lot like being a chef.
You just compete and you just, you're always trying to one up somebody, and it is not in any way a team sport.
So you saw the other side of the business,
Yes.
the other
Yes.
darker side of it, and you went,
Yes.
same thing,
Yes.
environment thing.
Yes.
You're like,
Yes.
okay.
So, over a weekend, I said, I'm not going to be a journalist. From my sophomore year of high school through my senior year of college, I mean, gung-ho, as strong a journalist as you could possibly be.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Then I guess back to maybe my assessment test, what I wanted to do was I did some pastor kind of thing for the next several years with this group called InterVarsity. No, InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. I was a pastor with those guys. And then in the middle of doing that, I started learning about computer programming, and that's where my entire career took off in technology and all those kind of things. Gosh.
So on the backside of those shifting stories, because here's what I'm seeing.
What do we do with all that?
Here's what we're doing.
Here's what we're doing.
You've went from
bring it home.
You've went from going, I want to be a chef for 13 effing years essentially,
yes,
to journalism hardcore in your
Yes.
young adult life.
Yes.
Then to shifting completely again.
Yes.
Those are major shifts,
Major
not just
shifts.
as far as
Yeah.
interest, but what you want to do
Whole
with
lifestyle.
your life.
Whole lifestyle.
What has that taught you skill-wise in your ability now to adapt and overcome
man.
when shit hits the fan?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
want to know
Yes.
if you found the same ability you're able to then grab and translate over to emotional,
Yes.
relational, financial.
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
that's always what I wanted. I wanted that ability to go,
Yeah.
oh, knees fucked, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, break up, then I'm going to be able to. I want to be able to shift
Right.
the same way.
Right.
And when I couldn't, it bothered me. So,
Yes.
do you feel like those major things gave you backbone and the grit and experience to continue to do that?
One, I had huge confidence that in all of the areas that I had done, I had done very well. So when I
Competence
confidence,
confidence.
yes,
Right.
That when I entered bread, which is a fairly hard thing to make, in the Shasta County Fair, these old blue-haired ladies came up and said, "Who is this Jay Dunlap?" And I said, "Oh, that's me. Why?" This little kid in 4-H. And I said, "Why?" And they said, "You won 4 blue ribbons." Wow. And so from all that year of Susie homemaking, I came out and kicked a bunch of cooked a bunch of really great bread that won against people that had been baking their whole lives.
Right. It wasn't just mom and dad saying that's yummy.
No,
it actually got awarded and judged and critiqued.
Exactly. From my journalism stuff, was at the San Jose Mercury News Pulitzer Party for when they brought down the Imelda Marcos and Fernando Marcos, was talking to people at National Geographic, had great pictures published and great things, and was backstage at U2 with Annie Leibovitz. With Annie Leibovitz sitting here talking about her coverage of Ace Frehley. I mean, I was in the depth of photojournalism and all the things you could do. And then again, in my overall professional career, again, I always say the number thing I was proud of, that we had 1 in 6 Americans in our healthcare software that were managed monthly. Right. And so it was the pinnacle of that field. So the ability to say, if you drop me in a situation and say, I need you to do well, I had a huge amount of confidence because it was not specific to a certain field or a certain skill set. It was more of my ability to use my skills of listening, of thinking, of being creative, and of having a lot of grit.
See, this is where I think we need to step back.
Yeah.
I say we need to step back when we look at what is failure and what is success.
Yes.
All the things that we've gone through, all the changes and shifts that we've had to make, it's not that we failed at that thing. Maybe the takeaways, you get confidence in programming. Yeah. Maybe the confidence is you gain something in writing or networking or talking to people or asking for things you want. Then all of these things add to this whole person building this more successful human being, right? Yes. So it's not that those endeavors failed per se. So maybe if we can take a step back and look at ourselves in that light, not losses and wins and failures, no plan Bs, but can we step back and go look at what life has given me, look at what I can take from it and become better, become a more complete human being. I think that to me is the ultimate takeaway. Yes. Because you just said it. You can drop me off in any circumstance and I'm going to be okay. Yeah. That's a rad feeling.
That's good. Hey, I would love to have some interaction. If you've made it this far, just put a comment after you subscribed and say, what is your plan A? What is your plan B reframing back to your plan A? Give us some comments. Give us some feedback.
Topics you want to see in the future? That'll help too. Topics you want?
All those things. All right, everybody. Hey, this has been a wild, radical ride today. Reframing. There is no plan B. And thanks, Elon.
Also, thank you, Chico's Barbershop, for the fresh cut and the shirt. And don't be a dick.
Peace out.
Peace out.
It's good to see you, man.
It was episode 8.
Episode 8.